This video is brought to you by Planet Pulse. The United States has been called the land of opportunity. Despite being a beacon of democracy and freedom, it's not without controversy. From colonial atrocities to the struggle against slavery and segregation, America's past is checkered. Yet its spirit, dream, and innovation endure, symbolized by landmarks like the Statue of Liberty and Mount Rushmore. From ancient civilizations to modern superpower status, buckle up for a roller coaster ride through triumphs, trials, and transformative moments that shaped a nation. Get ready to be enthralled by the incredible story of the USA like never before. The history of the United States begins long before the name United States ever existed. This saga unfolds around the turn of the first millennium. The Norse explorer Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, sets foot on the shores of what we now know as North America, making him the first known European to do so. Yet the true wave of European exploration and settlement begins centuries later, with Christopher Columbus's historic voyage in 1492. The late 15th and early 16th century marked the dawn of a new era. A multitude of European powers, driven by a thirst for wealth and religious motives, begin to establish colonies on this newfound land. The English set up their first permanent colony at Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607. Followed by the establishment of the Plymouth colony by the Pilgrims in 1620. These early settlers, however, were not alone in this vast land. They encountered diverse indigenous cultures which had thrived long before their arrival. Relations between the settlers and the native people were complex, marked by cooperation, conflict, and everything in between. Over time, the number of English colonies grew to 13, stretching along the eastern seaboard of North America. By the 1760s, these colonies housed around 2.5 million people. The southern colonies heavily relied on slave labor, a dark chapter that would profoundly shape the nation's future. This period laid the foundation for what was to come, a revolution. The seeds of independence had been sown, setting the stage for a new nation's birth. In the wake of growing discontent, a revolution was brewing. The 1760s saw the 13 British colonies, home to 2.5 million people, begin to chafe under the rule of a distant king. The seeds of rebellion were sown, and in 1775 the American Revolution ignited. A clash of ideals and loyalties, it was a struggle for independence, for the right to self-govern, and for liberty. The year 1776 marked a seminal moment in this struggle. The Declaration of Independence was adopted, a resounding statement of democratic principles and a bold assertion of autonomy. Penned by Thomas Jefferson, it proclaimed that all men are created equal, endowed with unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This was a radical departure from the norm, a beacon of hope in a world dominated by monarchies. The Revolutionary War raged on, led by key figures like George Washington. His leadership, coupled with the resilience and determination of the American people, eventually led to victory. But the end of the war didn't mean the end of challenges. The fledgling nation needed a strong foundation to ensure its survival and growth. In 1789, the Constitution was adopted, establishing a robust central government. It was a delicate balance of power that ensured no single entity could dominate, a testament to the lessons learned under British rule. This Constitution, a living document, continues to guide the nation, its amendments reflecting the evolving ideals and principles of the American people. From the ashes of revolution, a new nation was born, a nation built on the pillars of democracy, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A nation that would continue to grow and evolve, facing new challenges and embracing new opportunities in the years to come. A nation united soon found itself divided. As we journey into the turbulent years of 1860 to 1876, we delve into a period of American history marked by conflict and transformation, the Civil War and the subsequent Reconstruction era. The seeds of discord were sown long before the first shots of the Civil War rang out. The fundamental disagreement over the institution of slavery had created a deep chasm between the northern and southern states. Over 4 grueling years, this conflict evolved into a full-blown war. A struggle not just over slavery, but over the very definition of freedom, equality, and the nature of the Union itself. The Civil War, devastating in its violence and scope, forever altered the course of the nation. It resulted in the abolition of slavery, enshrined in the Constitution by the 13th Amendment. This was a monumental step towards equality, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. However, the path to unity was far from smooth. As the smoke of war cleared, the period of Reconstruction began. This was a time of rebuilding, not just of cities and infrastructure, but of the very fabric of American society. The Reconstruction sought to integrate the newly freed African Americans into society as equal citizens, a task fraught with challenges and resistance. Despite the significant strides made during this period, the legacy of inequality and the struggle for true freedom would continue to echo throughout the centuries. Yet, the Reconstruction era also marked a significant turning point, setting the stage for future civil rights movements. A nation torn apart by war had to find a way to rebuild and reunite, and so, America embarked on this journey, a journey that would continue to shape its identity and destiny in the years to come. As the world plunged into war, so too did the United States. The early 20th century saw America's involvement in two world conflicts, World War I and World War II, that would forever alter the landscape of the nation. In 1917, the United States, under President Woodrow Wilson, entered World War I, a conflict that had been raging in Europe for 3 years. America's entry into the war was not taken lightly, but the sinking of American ships by German U-boats had forced the nation's hand. The United States mobilized quickly, sending millions of young men to fight on the front lines in Europe, forever altering their lives and the nation's understanding of global conflict. The end of the Great War did not bring lasting peace, and less than 3 decades later, in 1941, the United States once again found itself embroiled in a global conflict, World War II. The shock of the Pearl Harbor attack by Japan propelled America into a war on 2 fronts, against Japan in the Pacific and against Germany and Italy in Europe. The war years were a time of great societal change. Women took on roles in the workforce previously held by men, and the nation's industry was transformed to support the war effort. The end of World War II in 1945 marked the beginning of a new era, both globally and for the United States. The war had not only changed the global power structure, but also significantly transformed American society. The United States emerged as a world superpower, setting the stage for the geopolitical tensions of the Cold War era that would follow. The world had changed, and so had the United States. In the aftermath of World War II, a new kind of war began. As the dust settled from the devastation of the world wars, the world found itself once again on the precipice of conflict. But this time, it was a war not of bullets and bombs, but of ideologies and influence. The Cold War had begun. The United States and the Soviet Union, both victors of the Second World War, emerged as the world's superpowers. Yet they were diametrically opposed in their ideologies, with the United States championing democracy and capitalism, and the Soviet Union staunchly advocating for communism. This ideological rift served as the breeding ground for the Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension that lasted from 1945 to 1980. The Cold War was a chess match on a global scale, with each move by one superpower meticulously countered by the other. Proxy wars were fought in far-flung corners of the world, from Korea to Vietnam, as each superpower sought to spread their influence. Closer to home, the Cold War had a profound impact on American society. Fear of communism led to the Red Scare and a nationwide witch hunt for suspected communists, forever marking the era with a sense of paranoia. The space race spurred scientific advancements and instilled a sense of national pride. Meanwhile, American foreign policy was largely dictated by the desire to contain the spread of communism. This led to involvement in various international conflicts and a significant expansion of the military-industrial complex. The Cold War era, an era of tension, competition, and change. This period reshaped the world, setting the stage for the geopolitical landscape we know today. It was a time that tested the mettle of the United States, and its impacts are still felt to this day. As the Cold War ended, a new chapter in American history began. The 80s marked a period of significant economic growth, technological innovation, and cultural shifts. Society was changing rapidly, and America was at the forefront of it all. In 1991, the world witnessed the end of the Cold War, leaving the United States as the world's sole superpower. This new global position came with its own set of challenges and responsibilities. The dawn of the new millennium was marred by the horrific events of September 11, 2001. This tragedy not only shook the nation but also reshaped the country's foreign policy with a renewed focus on conflicts in the Middle East. The early 21st century also saw the country grappling with the Great Recession, a severe economic downturn that left lasting marks on the nation's economy and the lives of many Americans. Yet, as history has shown us, America is a nation of resilience. And as we moved into the second decade of the 21st century, we faced yet another test with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. A global health crisis that once again challenged our resilience and tested our ability to adapt and overcome. And so we arrive at the present day, shaped by the events of our past. From its earliest beginnings to the present day, the history of the United States is a tale of change and resilience. We've journeyed from the arrival of the first Europeans around 1,000 years ago, through the birth of a new nation in the wake of the Revolutionary War. We've revisited the monumental Civil War era, a time of deep division but also of profound transformation, leading into the Age of Reconstruction. The 20th century was no less dynamic, with America emerging as a world power amidst the turmoil of two world wars and navigating the complex geopolitical landscape of the Cold War. And in our contemporary era, we've witnessed the United States grapple with new challenges and evolve in ways that continue to shape global history. Each period, each event, each person has contributed to the unique tapestry that is the history of the United States. And through each challenge, the spirit of resilience shines through, a testament to the enduring strength of this nation. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful videos like this one.